Today I want to talk about a bit of a dystopian dream of mine. A dream that I'm very well aware of that it will never become a reality. I wish we would normalize game demos. You probably remember back in the day, if you're born in the 1990s, you probably remember back in the day like those cool as hell PS1 demo discs that had like some nuclear bangers on there just for no apparent reason, just for you to try to fall in love with and then buy the end product for what was the price at the time, like 50-60 bucks, something like that. Like, that was so amazing to be able to try these absolute blockbuster games for a penny pretty much. And that has completely disappeared. Nowadays, there are barely any big, massive games from massive publishers that have game demos. And I think that is unfortunate. But I also understand. And in this video, I want to just talk about it, why this happened, why I would love for it to come back, why it will never come back. So, back in the day, game demos were used a lot more by big publishers than nowadays. And I think the reason for that is pretty simple. Time and digitalization. Back then, not everything was so easily and readily available. Information, gameplay footage, all that. So they heavily relied on convincing the customer themselves. So they really had to put themselves out there via like magazines, these types of game demos, all that. So you would get these blockbuster banger games to just try out and then buy the full product. They had to convince you themselves. So back then, game demos were super widespread, also because of a different time when gaming magazines were actually still very popular. And because of that, developers made use of that to cram in a bunch of demos, trailers and whatever else onto a disc for the consumer of those magazines to try and convince them to buy their new game, their product. It was at the time the most convenient way to distribute their product and get people to consume them. But as time moved on, everything became digital. And then with the rise of platforms like YouTube and all those influencers on there, and being able to watch a full game in one sitting. Usually they upload it like as one long play nowadays, where they beat the entire game in one video. So because of all of this being so readily available, game demos have now become a thing of the past. It's completely useless. Why would someone develop a demo and attempt to show the people like a certain part of a game when they don't even need to? People can access information about the game way earlier and way easier. But I don't even think that's the only reason game demos have disappeared, not just convenience. I think companies over time figured out that releasing game demos as a big AAA company with millions of sales, it hurts your company and your product more than it benefits your product and your company. And I think releasing a demo isn't going to do much nowadays. I think in terms of efficiency, a game demo isn't going to do much to sway someone who was on the fence. And I think this is because a game demo can have two outcomes basically. One, it's gonna keep someone that was already interested in purchasing the game on the right track, or someone that was already interested in buying the game is gonna keep them from buying the game. I think a game demo is a big risk, because if you're somebody that is interested in the game, like who's gonna play the demo that's not interested in the game? You're gonna purchase or play this demo for free, if you're already interested in the game. And if you play the demo and you don't like the game, the demo is bad and you're like, oh, this is not what I was expecting, then it will keep you from buying. And otherwise, they will just convince someone even more that was already interested in buying the product. I don't think people are going to play a demo that had little to no interest in the game in the first place. Why would you try out a demo if you didn't care for the game at first? So, does that really bring in new customers? I don't think so. So, while doing a little bit of research for this video, I found this 2013 article, which is admittedly quite a while ago, but I still think it's pretty relevant for games today, that showed game demos negatively impact sales. And considering what I just said about only potential customers playing the demo that were already interested, rather than drawing in new people, that does not surprise me at all. So, one of the presentation slides suggests that the average Xbox 360 game that is promoted by a release trailer but has no demo sells about 525 units on average after about 6 months. And then they figured out the average Xbox 360 game that does carry a demo and a trailer will only sell about 250,000 units in the same period. A game with neither of those, which pretty much means no promotion, on average sells about 100,000 units. So that is quite the notable difference. Now, this is obviously a bad study, because there are so many ifs, ands and buts about it, because this doesn't prove that game demos actively discourage sales, or that this could also mean the best-selling games don't carry demos in the first place, and only the smaller publishers and developers have to use demos and all that. It only examines Xbox 360 games, blah blah blah. So even though this study is complete dookie, considering the massive big budget games can just throw ads on YouTube and even on TV and all that to massively boost their sales, and publishers with a way more limited budget cannot do all that shit and might rely on demos and all that, and thus completely fucking over any reliable data that is to be found in this study. I do think, although less extreme, there is some truth to this. And the reason why I do think there is some truth to this is because many companies, in fact most companies, have no fucking clue how to make a good demo. And thus they spend all this money on making a demo and getting it out there, and then it basically slices their sales with 20-30% maybe, because it's just complete trash. And that is stupid in my opinion. Many studios are really bad at it. They don't even attempt to be good at it because it doesn't matter for the final product in their eyes. Usually these studies are just working very hard to get the real game, the full game done, and making a short demo showcasing what the game is about really isn't high on their priority list, and thus you really get the first hour of the game, which can leave a very bad impression on you, especially considering most games it's just the tutorial section and all that. For example, back in 2020, I made my Mystery Dungeon DX video, and when I played the demo for that game, I was super excited about purchasing that game when it was announced, and they released a demo for it. I played the demo, and I hated it. I think the demo was until about Thunderwave Cave, maybe even Mount Steel beating the fucking Skarmory, but I just really did not like it. It really gave me the wrong impression about a handful of mechanics, and then I played the real thing and it was fucking amazing. I love the game. I have nothing but good words for Mystery Dungeon DX, and I really wish they would start working on a new one. But who knows if that's ever gonna happen. Spike Jonsoft, do your thing. And then we have, for example, last year, 2024, Metaphor ReFantasio had a demo. And I was already interested in that game. And based on the demo, I was fully convinced I wanted to play that. Have I played it yet? No, of course not. I have no idea when, man. But it did convince me. That demo was really good. They really understood the assignment and they fucking delivered. So, for developers, it's tough. I wouldn't say it's a 50-50. If you're good at it, you're good at it. But I can imagine for developers, especially of these big-ass games with a lot of interest from the general public, millions and millions, like a Mystery Dungeon, a demo could be an unnecessary risk. An unnecessary risk if you're an established game company, developer, publisher, whatever. Expectations will be sky high. If you're a Rockstar, a Grand Theft Auto 6, imagine they release a demo right now after the trailer was viewed like, I don't know, 300 million times, and then you release a demo and it's trash. Like, people expect perfection. And they will absolutely piss and moan and shit all over the place and accuse you of being a fraud, a bad game developer if they perceive like a lack of polish or if the final game is way too different from what was shown in the demo. They often see pre-release content as a promise instead of as a work in progress. That goes as far as trailers too. Watch Dogs, the original Watch Dogs, had like a trailer that was 4 minutes, and the expectations were sky high, and they even, I think they put in a warning that said work in progress, and when the graphics were downgraded and the gameplay wasn't as cool, people exploded. They absolutely exploded. You better keep those expectations high if you can, and don't take an unnecessary risk and scare away customers with a demo that shows what it's really gonna be like. Also, I feel like what I briefly touched upon earlier, the whole YouTube and Twitch and all that type of stuff where you can easily find information about any video game at any point in time. You can watch entire fucking long plays and all that. I really think that has also helped to kill game demos, and I don't just mean those long plays. But why would game companies develop a demo when hundreds of people can be the demo to a much larger audience? The audience might not be trying firsthand, but their second-hand experience may just as easily turn into future sales. And what I mean by this is all the videos from like massive YouTubers, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe even a month before release. They either got a free copy or they were paid to advertise the game before and or after release. Just yoink those copies out there, give them to massive YouTubers, and they will just praise it, being biased because you gave them the free product. And then, let's say a Vanas Gaming. Whenever, like, I respect the dude, one of the OG YouTube gaming content creators, but I remember whenever a new Far Cry would release, it did not matter if it was the same fucking game every time. Like, Ubisoft shits out those Far Cries, it's just a reskinned version, maybe looks a little better, but it's the same game. And every time he'd just play it, pretend like it's the best game ever, and it would get over 1 million views. I mean, that's free advertisement. 1 million views. And if you make a funny video out of it, funny moments, people are like, oh, this is the coolest shit ever. I want to hang out with my friends and do the most funny shit in this game. Oh, let's purchase it. And yoink, 60, 120, 180, depending how many people play. Like, advertising is much more effective than game demos potentially being a big turnoff for potential players. It's insane. And then I haven't even mentioned that these days you have even more platforms than just YouTube and Twitch. You even have goddamn, I don't know, TikTok, X or Twitter. I like Twitter way more. Those are paid nowadays. You can have like embedded ads on websites, blah blah blah, ads, more ads. You can pay anybody to say what you want. You're basically a minion. It's a seemingly endless supply of reviews, positive reviews at that. And I'm probably forgetting stuff, I'm not gonna lie. And I think the reason this type of advertisement, through just paying a bunch of people, giving free copies to just suck your cock basically, the reason that works so well is mainstream acceptance, I guess. There is no need for a demo now that millions upon millions of gamers are in the scene, so to speak. I think there are even more people that enjoy video games nowadays than back in the day, and you don't have to convince anybody. With that mainstream acceptance comes blind purchasing, and there's a lot more blind purchasing than you might think. And that is crazy. There is no real need for a demo because way too many people never even research what they're about to purchase, and they will just dive right in based on perceived popularity and their personally curated or maybe even fabricated feeds, reels. I don't know what all that shit is. I don't have social media. I mean, just look at, for example, the Nintendo Switch announcement. With Mario Kart World about to cost, I think, $80 digital in Europe and $90 physical. I think that was it. That's a lot. People have no idea what the game will be like, if it's gonna be fun. Are those $80? No, they're not worth it. But I can tell you this much. People have already... I would not surprised if right now there are already millions of pre-orders. People don't care. They see Mario Kart, they were like, huh, Mario Kart 8 was pretty fun, let's purchase it. Same with Call of Duty, man. And it's not called FIFA anymore, it's called FC? Is it? I'm so out of the loop, man. I play PlayStation games, PlayStation 1 games and all that. But you see it with those games as well. They shit out a new FC and a new Call of Duty every, I don't know, year pretty much. I don't even know if Call of Duty is every year nowadays, but people will just purchase it. They own the last one and they will buy the new one. Same with FC. Like, you just built an ultimate team. You have no idea if the next game is gonna be better or not. It probably isn't. It's always the same damn game with just the new players, updated stats, all that. And people just, they eat that, man. They eat that like for breakfast, lunch and dinner. It's beyond me. It's just blind purchasing. It doesn't matter if the game is even good. They will purchase it anyway. There's an audience, a very a dedicated core audience. You don't need to prove anything. They just purchase it anyway. It's free money. So yeah, to sum that up, a game demo is just not necessary anymore for big companies in today's day and age. And the only reason to do so is maybe to just, I don't know, flex or some shit. Maybe to be like actually consumer friendly. I think releasing a game demo shows you care about your customers, I think, because as a company that's already established, there is no reason to take that risk. If you're not good at the demo, not good at making demos, you just potentially scare away people. The big companies like, I think Metaphor Refantasia was maybe Atlas. I think I really respect that. I've seen Square Enix do demos for their Final Fantasy games and all that. I think that is fucking insane to... I think that shows balls as well. I think big respect. But sadly, it's just a different time. The days of game magazines and depending on mouth-to-mouth advertisement, those days are long gone. Everything is readily accessible and you can just like purchase positive reviews. So why would you not do that? That being said, game demos aren't completely dead. In fact, the study shown was from 2013, but I actually think these past 12 years game demos have become more popular. But definitely not in the AAA hemisphere. I'm talking about indie games. Duh. What I really like is Steam has been having this Next Fest demo festival for quite a while, and by and large they've been regarded as a rather positive experience by both players and by developers. And Valve has shown that they've published some stats showing these demos actually boosting game sales, and I think that is fucking cool. And I mean, sure, you could argue that it's not so much the demo, but it's Steam promoting the game to players that would otherwise never have known about the game, that has a much larger impact. But even then, demos among indies have seen a drastic rise since these things started gaining traction pretty much. And I think Next Fest and game demos are what the indies have to do it. Because indie games have very limited marketing budgets, they can't just yoink ads everywhere. When you're on the Steam page, you can only see like a brief small video, so you have to convince them with maybe even a free or very cheap game demo. If I land on a relatively unknown indie game page on Steam, I'm not instantly like, oh, I want to buy this after seeing like the promotional videos and a couple of the goddamn car and a couple of the in-game screenshots. I'm not instantly convinced. Demos are necessary for these indie developers because anything that draws attention to the game is likely to get them sales. And if you can actually try the game, you might buy it. And otherwise their sales might potentially just be zero. If you can't convince people in like a small trailer, as an indie developer, like the few people that land on your page, like who are you gonna convince with just a tiny little video? Creating a little bit of lore, because I talked about this last video. Recently I found Path of the Abyss, which I talked about in my previous video, Are Video Games Too Expensive video. I found that game. And I'm gonna be real, the fucking promo video showing a bit of gameplay instantly convinced me. But the early access demo is like a couple bucks. And I played it, I loved it, and it convinced me to try the entire thing when it fully releases. But then again, I already paid for it. And I now have the real game. Whenever it releases, I have it for free. Pretty much. I paid for the demo. I think that's really clever as well. Offering a relatively cheap demo when the game is in early access, or you offer a relatively cheap demo whenever the game is already fully released, and then you can basically upgrade your game for free once the real thing releases, or you can just purchase the entire game if it's already out. I think being able to try a demo for a few bucks, even when the full game is out, so you don't lose too much of your money if you don't like the demo, I think that's really clever. And it also gives the developer a little bit of money, even though there's like the Steam refund policy. I don't know if I like the refund policy, and maybe I think it's more customer friendly to have a refund policy, honestly. Because if you don't like a demo and you spend a couple bucks on it, you can at least get your money back within first 1 or 2 hours of playtime. I don't really know. I can't remember. So trying demos on Steam for the customers is less of a risk, I guess, because you can just try things and get your money back if necessary. And it's much broader than just Steam, honestly. Like most services these days offer refunds. There are a bunch of betas, early access, and you can pretty much watch the entirety of any game whenever you want. And I mean, we are definitely, even though the game demos have become a little bit extinct in like the upper echelons of the gaming world, we do not have less info on games before buying, I guess. We get like reviews, articles, biased, unbiased articles, biased, unbiased reviews on YouTube. It's instantly accessible for anyone. The age of demo discs and gaming magazines might have died, and I think that is really, really fucking lame. But luckily we can still do our research and not get fucked by big publishers. So yeah, to sum this all up, I would really love for game demos to return, but I don't think it ever will. Aside from the indie developers that obviously kind of have to do that if they want to convince people other than like a small video on YouTube that will maybe get a couple thousand views if they're lucky, or on their Steam page like a bit of a trailer. They kind of have to do that because it will convince a lot of people if it's good, and they have to care about it being good. In the upper echelons of the gaming world, it's just not gonna happen. It's too big of a risk for any brand, any company. You should just deceive people. You should just deceive people and sell your games that way. I guess that's what it really comes down to. I think game demos are the most consumer-friendly thing you can offer anybody as a big company, and that's exactly why we won't see game demos return. Because it will give the consumer too much information, a first-hand experience, unfiltered, about what the game is going to be about. And even though you have a substitution when it comes to these game demos in like video reviews, articles, Redditors yapping among each other, it's, in my opinion, not the same as playing the game yourself firsthand. And I think that is really sad. That is why it's such a revelation when a big company like a Square Enix or whatever does release demos. I appreciate that way more than most people probably would. And I think why those companies are doing it is because they, for Square Enix releasing a Final Fantasy, it's kind of like the FIFA thing. They are confident they'll make a massive profit anyway. People will buy it regardless of the demo being good or not. So they can afford making a demo taking a risk. They can invest in demos for stuff like research purposes. And they can get data on what exactly about the demo did or didn't turn off customers. They can take these risks and to potentially lead to better profits in the future. It's basically investing a bit of money to get more money in the future by releasing a better product. And I wish more massive companies would see it that way. But that's not what the gaming world is nowadays. The gaming world is about maximizing profits in the here and now, and what the customer feels or thinks about any of that doesn't really matter. So yeah, I would love for game demos to return. It would be fantastic for the consumer. They would know what the game is about and they would be able to form a solid opinion firsthand. It would be great for the publishers as they can make better products. It would be better for the developers. It would lead to much better products in the future and maybe even more profit and a better reputation. But short-term money will always win. It will always beat the long-term vision. And scaring away customers is sadly too much of a risk for many AAA companies. So yeah, it's never going to happen, is it? Indie games. It is.